Okay, so when you get your Bokashi bucket, it's very easy to set up. Take the instructions out, put the grate in that way so the knob is facing up. That grate is there so the liquid from the waste can drip through into the catchment and then it can be tapped out. So the juice is a great liquid fertiliser.
And do you have to tighten the tap as well?
Yeah, when you open, it should be tight when you get it. Make sure it's shut so you don't want the liquid to drip out onto your kitchen floor. So it's shut and then you just open it and you put a cup underneath there.
And I'll just show you inside what we're doing with the tap.
And there's a space there for the liquid to sit. So it's pretty simple. The lid is also airtight, so that creates an anaerobic conditions inside the bucket, so there's no oxygen, so the waste can ferment. And you get your bag of Bokashi, and which is the essence of the system, really. This is the good stuff that's full of all the microorganisms. The microorganisms in the Bokashi mix ensure that the waste ferments in the bucket, so it doesn't rot or putrid, it ferments. So the waste doesn't break down in the bucket, but it reduces in volume a lot. Your waste reduces in volume a lot because as your waste ferments, the liquid drains through the grate and you tap that out.
And you can use that juice as it is, can't you?
You must dilute it. You can use it as it is down your drains. It makes a really good drain cleaner because it's got good microbes that will compete against any nasties in the waterways and in your drains. So it's a really good drain cleaner, and it's good for septic tanks as well. Okay. But when you use it in your garden on plants, you do need to dilute it. It's very strong. The dilution rate's 100:1. All that information is in the instructions.
In the instructions, okay.
So I'll show you one that I prepared earlier. Here's my one from my home. I've had this going for about 3 weeks now, and it looks almost full, but you can get quite a lot more into it, because what's quite a good thing to do is use a potato masher and you squish it down a bit, then you can get more waste in.
Does that allow you to put more in there?
It allows you to put more in, but you know, you don't need to do that. I mean, most people probably prefer to empty it less often than more often. So it just means you don't have to empty it as often.
And what kinds of scraps do you put in there?
I put in absolutely everything. I put in, the Bokashi bucket can take all food scraps. Anything that was ever alive can be composted. So that includes paper, tea bags, there's meat in there, there's of course all the vegetable scraps, but any leftover food, if you've got a bit of your child's breakfast leftover, cereal, in it goes. It doesn't matter if it's got milk with it. Well, if you're putting a lot of high protein food, you add a little bit extra Bokashi mix. But yeah, you can put absolutely, and even bones, you can put small bones. Fish bones are fine. Fish bones will break down. Chicken bones will break down. Large bones like, T-bone steak, it's not going to break down, so that should be avoided. And so and that all ends up in your garden. So
what do you do with this bucket now that you've filled it?
So once it's full, the idea is to dig a hole or trench and bury it in your garden.
Shall we do that?
So
your compost pile.
Yeah, so sometimes I add the Bokashi waste straight into my compost because it's sort of quicker if I don't have the time to dig a hole. The idea is to dig a hole and then the waste will break down straight away. By burying the waste, it means all the nutrients are captured in the soil. You don't lose any through methane gases. It'll break down very fast. While the Bokashi mix, the microbes make the waste ferment inside the bucket. Once you've buried the waste in the soil, the microbes accelerate the breakdown. So in warm weather, your waste can be broken down as quick as 3 weeks.
Wow.
Different bits of waste will break down at different rates. Often the things that you see, it might be an avocado, stone. You recognise a few things, but after 3 weeks, almost nothing's recognisable and you just have a lovely rich black soil. Other than putting it in a hole, I sometimes add it to my compost bin where I put my lawn clippings and my brown leaves. I just pour it in.
And so how long has that been sitting in the bucket for, that waste?
Well, some of the waste has only gone in there last night.
Okay.
So I started this waste I started filling this 3 weeks ago. So it doesn't matter if you fill your bucket and then you bury it the very same day, because what accelerates the breakdown of the waste is the microbes in the waste. You can ferment your waste for longer, and people will often have 2 buckets for this purpose. The main advantage of having 2 buckets is just the convenience. Obviously, if you fill your bucket on a Tuesday night, you know, you don't really want to go to the garden and bury it tomorrow or that night. So you can put it aside, start your second bucket, and then when your second bucket's getting close to full, you just know you've got to empty your first bucket. So, you know, you do that on the weekend or when you're next out in the garden. Because digging a hole, you know, takes a little bit of an effort, and then you just bury the waste. I also add mine to a worm farm. So I've got a worm farm here as well, and I like, main reason I started my worm farm is because many people would ask us, can you use the Bokashi waste in a worm farm? And I had different responses from worm farmers, so I just thought I'd try myself. But this worm farm's been going for about a year, and the only thing I ever feed it is Bokashi waste. And the worms love it. Look at them all. All that waste there, look at the worms there.
Oh wow.
Look at that. It's just full of lovely, lovely worms.
Oh wow, there's a lot.
Aren't they lovely? And so what I do when I add some is I just put in a bit of waste. Usually I have a... It's important that you drain your Bokashi bucket first before adding to a worm farm, because the Bokashi juice is very acidic. And then every time I add waste to my worm farm, I add a little bit of soil, just a smidgen of soil, not much, and then just cover it with the wool cloth, and that's it. And underneath this layer is the castings.
Oh wow.
And you can see it's full of worms. I probably need to turn that over soon, so just empty out that bottom container and then swap them around and put this one on top.
Great, so if anyone's watching this and has any questions, please feel free to comment. You can also private message us or give us a call, and Maree's quite happy to answer any of your questions, so please just send them on through. And yeah, happy worming, Bokashiing and composting. Thanks, bye.